Hey, what's going on guys? It's me Aiden, welcome back to another video. Now, in case you somehow were not aware, Gang of Secrets, which is the third episode of Season 4, has been released today. If you have not seen it, big spoilers for this video, so definitely do not watch this video until, you've seen the actual episode, because it was really good, so definitely go check it out. When this video is first released, the title is likely going to be spoiler free, but eventually I will change it back to what I originally would make it, so that way people know, like, specifically the contents of this video. But for right now, like the first few days, I will make it a non-spoilery title for you. Yeah. But I went ahead and wrote down some notes about Gang of Secrets as I was watching, so I'm just going to be going over those notes today. So, without any further ado, let's go and hop right into this video. Actually, one last thing, this is going in order, so obviously the big topic of today is probably going to be at the end because that was at the end of the episode. So, you're just going to have to skip to the end if you want to see that. Now, the first thing that I wanted to point out is that even as Ladybug, Marinette is still troubled about Luca and all these different things, right? So this is a good sign because it shows maybe that there's some continuity. Now, I know that that specific example maybe isn't very good because that was technically the first episode and she's sad about something that happened on the first episode, which in the past would be acceptable, right? But the fact that she's even, first of all, just dwelling on it is a sign, because that means that if we were going by the past logic, she would have to be dwelling on it throughout the entire season. But obviously, since there's that reveal with Aliyah, things are going to be different, right? And maybe now Aliyah can help, like, walk her through things, so things will just be a little bit better in that regard. So maybe in the future we won't see Marinette as troubled, right? So this is just one sign that the continuity is growing. Obviously, with the reveal and other things in this episode, continuity is being a lot better in this season. So I'm just really hoping that we actually get the episodes in order, because it seems like it's starting to matter, which is really good. That's a really good sign for the show. It seems that some of the French channels are going to be respecting the natural order of the episodes. However, Gloob is that wild card, and I mean, obviously there's some others, like I'm sure Family Channel is also included in the wild card here, but Gloob being the big one that's like, they could definitely release some out of order. So let's just hope that Gloob does not, so fingers crossed. Now, next thing I wanted to talk about was these patrols. Now, we've seen a lot of these in Season 4 already. I don't know if I could say a lot, but we've seen them a relatively good amount. Compared to in the past, I should say, because I don't remember them ever, like, having patrols or talking about patrols. So this must be a new thing in Season 4, which is good, but if I'm going based off of what we saw in Lies and what we saw in this episode, it's a lot of not doing much, you know, like they went to the pool in this episode, they went to the movies, which I wouldn't exactly call a patrol. I mean, those were funny events, and I guess we technically didn't see them go to the pool, but the movie was a funny scene, right? But they're not really productive from what I'm seeing, or at least there's a good chunk of time that is being spent on non-productive things, right? On not actually patrolling. So I don't know exactly what the purpose is, if they're just saying, like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead on a patrol, but then they just end up, like, hanging out, right? Maybe this was Cat Noir's idea, and he's like, I'm gonna spend time with Ladybug. Maybe that's what he did, I'm not sure. But something like that, maybe. But just wanted to point that out, because I don't remember them ever having patrols before, so maybe this is a new thing that Marinette decided to do when she became the Guardian, or something else, I'm not sure. Now, next I want to talk about when Marinette told her friends that she didn't want to be friends anymore. Like, maybe I don't want to be friends with you anymore, so get out of my room, right? First of all, I feel like there was better ways for Marinette to solve that, but I guess her reasoning makes sense, because if she just, like, lost that friendship, she wouldn't have to lie to them or whatever, right? So that makes sense, I guess, but she should have probably thought about it a little bit more, right? And I guess with what ended up happening, that logic would have made more sense, but in my eyes, shouldn't Marinette's friends have realized, like, something is definitely wrong with Marinette and we need to help, right? If they were truly good friends with her, right, they would see Marinette's having issues right now, so we need to come up with a plan to help her through it or whatever, right? They wouldn't just be like, oh man, Marinette's sad and she told us she doesn't want to be friends anymore. Oh no, I guess we're not friends anymore. I'm gonna get akumatized, right? No, I wouldn't think, like, in a real life situation, that's not what would happen, right? I mean, maybe it's just a cultural difference, and in France, friendships are more like, if you say you don't want to be in a friendship, it's like over. Here in the US though, like, I would think that if that happened to someone, we would think like, okay, we need to help them, right? Because something is seriously wrong. That's not how they usually act. So let's, you know, like, get into a group, you know, like they did in Gang of Secrets, right? But instead of like complaining like, oh no, we're so sad that we're not friends with Marinette anymore, they should have been like, all right, something is wrong with Marinette. We need to come together as her close friends and think of a way to solve this issue, right? That would have probably prevented the akumatization. I get it, it's sad, right? A friend tells you they don't want to be friends anymore, right? That's sad. But thinking about it logically, they should assume that, you know, they knew that something was going on with Marinette, and that should have just been like real good proof of it, right? So I would think if it was me in that situation, I would have been like, all right, something's wrong, we need to help her, right? So I don't know, it's just a show, and maybe they had to take it to that extreme to allow them to become akumatized, but I feel like in a real life setting, maybe this is just like a life lesson for you watching at home. If your friend is acting weird, try to help them, right? Not just be like, oh man, if they tell me they don't want to be friends anymore, guess we're not friends anymore, try to help them, okay? Next, we got Marinette's new high-tech compartment. Like, what is this? Like, this is really cool. Like, where'd she get this? Did she make this? Like, I didn't know she knew how to make tech like this. This is, like, really cool. It's got a passcode and a secret door. I don't know, but I wouldn't be able to make something like that, or at least, you know, I don't think I would be able to. I don't know how I would approach it. I'm sure if I did enough research, maybe I could figure something out, but like, I don't know. It's just really cool. I don't know how she made it, but that's really cool. I'd love to see like a behind the scenes of how she made that, although, I mean, it's not that important, but I don't know. I just really like it. It's cool, okay? All right, next we got to see Trix's Mirage, which is really cool, right? Because we've only ever seen Plague use his Cataclysm before, right? So now we see another one. Now here was an interesting thing that was actually released, or I guess revealed from this episode, and that is when a Kwami uses their power without a holder, it causes a disaster. Now, we sort of knew this, because obviously with Plague, he's super dangerous, right? Now here's the thing. I thought that was only because he couldn't really control his power, right? So, you know, he killed the dinosaurs. For an example, he couldn't control his power, he just ended up cataclysming all the dinosaurs, which obviously is not good, right? So I thought that was just because he couldn't control his power. However, I mean, maybe this is just the subtitle error, but they made it seem like it had to cause a disaster or something. Like in order for a Kwami to use their power, they had like a disaster or something bad had to come from it, right? So I don't know, I thought that was a little bit weird, because I think it makes more sense that they just can't control their power. Because here's the thing, Trix's Mirage did end up affecting the Eiffel Tower and made it go crazy, which is pretty funny to see, I will say. But like, first of all, I wouldn't really call that a disaster, right? Like a disaster I would call like the world breaks in half and you see the world breaking in half, even though it's just a mirage, right? But I will say the Eiffel Tower did feel quite unrelated to whatever the mirage was, right? So I don't know, I guess I'm just conflicted on this, because I don't think it makes as much sense to have it be like, there has to be a disaster tied to a Kwami using their power without a holder. I think it should be, their power is just amplified to an uncontrollable amount. I don't know what that would have meant for Trix's power, but for the Cataclysm, if you Cataclysm something, it's just way too extreme, right? That makes sense. I don't know about other things, right? Because it's a little bit harder to quantify all that, but I don't know. I don't think the way that they did it in this episode made sense. So that's all I'm gonna say for that one. All right, next we got Aliyah breaking free from Shadow Moth. Now, this is actually the first time a character who has already been akumatized has broken free from Hawk Moth, which is very cool. Now, this was likely done to show the viewers that, yes, she is trustworthy and she's probably not going to become akumatized anymore. And the reason why that's important is because if she was akumatized, she could easily give away the information that Marinette is the new guardian, right? That's obviously why they did that. So I thought this was really cool. As I said in the video where I was actually talking about maybe that there would be a reveal either between Aliyah and Adrian, although I think I was leaning more towards Aliyah in that instance anyway, so I don't know, I guess that prediction turned out to be true. But I was saying that Adrian would actually make way more sense for there to be a reveal. And the reason for that is because he's never really been akumatized before, right? Whereas Aliyah has been akumatized multiple times. But now with this new revelation, Aliyah is way less likely to become akumatized, which makes her trustworthy, I guess. I will be talking about this more later in the video and sort of like my thoughts on that, but for now, that's where I'm gonna leave that thought. Next thing I want to talk about is that Ladybug is able to access the miracle box through her little like ladybug pouch thing, which is really cool because that means she doesn't have to carry around the miracle box everywhere. This explains really well how in Guilt Trip she is able to get the pig Miraculous because obviously she doesn't want to carry the box around, right? So if she can just remote access it through her little pouch thing, that's pretty cool. That's actually pretty OP. So I don't know, that's really good. Now she says that this is a new ability that she gained when she became the Guardian. Now the other point to touch on with this is that Aliyah did not know that she was the new Guardian, which means that this has been kept under wraps. Now, I don't really know. Maybe it's just because Aliyah doesn't really know about all that stuff and she just doesn't know. I mean, although I find that hard to believe that she doesn't have any idea about how that all works. But, you know, she seems surprised that Ladybug was the new Guardian. So here's the thing, right? It's easy to see how they would be able to keep it under wraps, right? Because at the time, everyone was, you know, stung by like Queen Wasp's bee, right? So everyone didn't really realize what was going on. However, what I will say is that Chloe should know, right? Or at least she should be able to assume, right? Like she had all that information. But how did she not go leaking it, right? Like Chloe is the kind of person, you know, she made her own like fake TV news station or whatever, right? So it's not that hard to assume that she would make this or even just talk to her classmates about this, right? Like, oh yeah, I was totally the good Guardian or whatever. So then Aliyah should be able to figure out pretty easily about the Guardian and stuff like that. So I don't know, maybe that's just me being like a nitpicking YouTuber, but I don't know, that just surprised me a little bit. Now, here's the big question that I want to ask. Did Hawkmoth forget their identities? Because this feels like a very important thing, especially now that Aliyah knows that Marinette is Ladybug. Now, even if that reveal did not happen, I still feel like Hawkmoth should not know who they are, right? Because if Hawkmoth knows that there's a slight chance that Ladybug is going to be giving the Miraculous back to Aliyah or just anybody else who previously had a Miraculous that he knew of, right? Then he could easily blackmail them to get that information slash I guess the Miraculous in general, right? Hawkmoth could go to Aliyah saying, look, I know who you are. I know that it's likely that you're going to get the Miraculous back. So if you ever get that Miraculous back and you don't give it to me, I'm going to hurt you or your family. That's a big scary threat to make, right? So that's why it's kind of important that Hawkmoth forgets. Now, it hasn't been addressed yet at all in this season. Now, here's the thing. Episode 4 is the big plot episode, so it could be discussed in that episode, and honestly, I hope it is, because this is a big question that we need to ask. I mean, as of right now, I would sort of assume that maybe he forgot, unless if Ladybug is just taking a risk, but the way that she did it so nonchalantly makes me think that Hawkmoth did forget, but again, we don't know for sure, so we're just gonna have to wait and see. Now, the final thing that I wanted to officially talk about today, even though I've mentioned it quite a few times, is the reveal. Whoa, who knew that the reveal would come out like this? Whoa. Aliyah knows that Marinette's Ladybug. That's so weird to say. Never something I thought I would ever be saying, but it's cool, right? This was very important and good for Marinette, right? Because she was carrying all this weight on her shoulders, and there was no, like, literally she could not talk to anybody about it aside from the Kwamis. But Tiki was like, yeah, we can't feel love or whatever, right? So even then, they couldn't be a good companion to talk about it, right? So this was very important for Marinette to have someone else to help her through, you know, all the stress and whatnot that comes along with it. Now, I am very excited to see where this goes, right? Because I want to see interactions between Marinette and Aliyah, with Aliyah helping out Marinette, right? I love seeing those things. Now, here's the thing. Episode 4, again, is a very big plot episode. So it would be great if Marinette was like, hey, Aliyah, come over to my house. I got some things I want to brainstorm. And then this is when Aliyah helps her piece together, like, all the different things about, like, you know, here's what the Lucky Charm things are. And then here's this new power with this new suit. So it'd be great if Aliyah was there just as emotional support, as well as, you know, tactics and thinking about just how to be a good guardian and whatnot like that, right? Again, we don't know if that's going to happen in episode 4. Honestly, I hope that we get to see a lot of Aliyah, but if Master Fu, I don't know how we can use that as a good comparison, right? Because that one was a very, you know, straightforward, like it knew what it wanted to be, and it was that, right? We didn't really see anything other than that. So I don't know if that's a good example to show, like, yeah, so we're not really going to be seeing Aliyah, you know, interacting with Marinette. But honestly, I don't think that's true. I think we will be seeing Aliyah a lot. So we will just have to wait and see, of course. But I do hope that this is something that they bring up a lot because it's important. And I hope they're not just like, oh yeah, so Aliyah knows, but we're never going to talk about it again. So basically, she doesn't know. I don't know. I'm just hoping that the continuity really kicks in this season and is like, yeah, so Aliyah knows a lot, and so we're just going to keep bringing it up. So that'd be great. Now again, now that Aliyah knows who Marinette is, it's very important that she does not become akumatized again or does not become a victim of Hawkmoth, right? Because again, blackmailing her, even though Hawkmoth doesn't know that Aliyah knows, he could easily blackmail her for other reasons, right? So just saying, it's very important that Marinette has a talk with Aliyah and is like, hey, look, you better not get akumatized again, otherwise it's game over. So this is a big responsibility that Aliyah has. So I want to see those conversations, though. That's the thing. I want to see Marinette having those conversations with Aliyah. Hopefully that happens in episode 4. No confirmation of that, though, so fingers crossed. But who knows? Episode 4 is likely just going to be a normal episode with, you know, some new revelations in the plot. But hopefully it won't be. Hopefully we get more information. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to talk about for this episode. If you had any thoughts, like let me know down in the comments. This was a huge episode, definitely really good. Yeah, if there's anything I missed, please let me know down in the comments, as always. But that's going to be it for me. If you enjoyed, you can leave a like and subscribe for more content similar to this. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Okay.